welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Offsides Podcast, the unofficial official podcast of Charlotte Football Club. I am your host, Andres Robledo, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Pablo Robledo. And it was a weekend filled with soccer. Premier League is back. MLS is getting to the crunch time. Exciting times we live in right now, let me tell you. Pablo, how was the weekend for you?
Too short.
Yeah, I can sympathize with that. And were you able to watch any Premier League this weekend?
No, I didn't get to watch any Premier League. I was playing Ghost of Tsushima.
You're gonna?
Did you?
Yeah, I watched the Leeds United's game to see how the Americans were doing. They've got Tyler Adams and Brendan Aronson, who are both on the U.S. team, and they're coached by a former MLS head coach, Jesse Marsh. So watched that to see how they did, and they ended up winning 2-1 over Wolverhampton. And then the two coaches almost got in a fight at the end. That was cool.
Yes, nice American spirit.
Yeah. And then, of course, watched the Chelsea game. They won 1-0 over Everton, which is awesome. Great way to start the season. And then I watched your Red Devils, your Manchester United. They had a lot of
Should have started.
They had a lot of hype in the preseason. Did not go well.
That's it's early.
Yeah. They looked really bad, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, like you said, it's early, long season. Transfer window's still open for Premier League, so maybe they'll bring in some players. But yeah, not what everyone was expecting, that's for sure.
Yeah, I did see a bunch of clips and highlight reels of Messi's handicap bicycle kick. It's very pathetic. I thought
baby bicycle.
It was like, yeah, I was like, ooh, you're getting old.
Yeah. And then I did also watch the Man City versus West Ham game to see Erling Haaland's debut, and that dude is gonna light up the Premier League. If he stays healthy, he's gonna score 30+ goals.
That guy reminds me of like every evil James Bond character. He's just
took his talents to football though instead
good.
of villainy.
Yeah,
his goal scoring rate is just disgusting.
He runs weird. He runs like a vulture.
What he is,
you
man.
He just vultures kind of.
Yeah, he's just vaulting around the box, ready to poach.
I guess so.
He had a PK that he scored, weird. And then he had a really good second goal where Kevin De Bruyne played an incredible through ball from like their own half to set him up for a breakaway, and then he just put it away easily. Just like, man, your Premier League debut, playing for the best team, scored 2 goals. Good start to your season.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's going to be exciting to watch. They're probably going to win the league, fortunately.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. Hopefully it's an interesting race but we'll see. Awesome. So let's jump into the show. Not a whole lot of news. The only little bit of news that I do have is that all 3 new signings are in Charlotte today and training with the team. And apparently they're going to be allowed to stay in the States and train with the team while the visa stuff gets worked on. And expected debut is going to be in like 2.5 weeks, something like that. So seems like it'll be a smoother process than it was for Swiderski and Yazwiak and some of the other signings we've brought in. But very cool to see them already training with the team. That's nice.
Oh, did you know he kind of back on the Holland guy? Did you know he played with the Red Bulls?
Yeah, in Germany.
Yeah,
that's where he got his start. Then he went to Dortmund, and now he's at Man City. So, yeah, he'll be in Madrid in 3 years.
Madrid or
yeah,
Barcelona.
No, not Barcelona. They might not be a club in 3 years.
They're gonna call it Barca B.
Yeah.
They'll sell that one. Out
Yeah, so that'd be the first to go. That famous youth academy is gonna be the second thing to go. Sorry, kids.
Yeah.
Belong to someone else.
It's gonna be like, what is it? Michael's
Yeah.
Scott's Tots.
God's tots.
Scott's Tots.
Yeah. It's a shame how that club is falling apart.
They'll get bailed out.
Probably. But where was I going with that? Broke my train of thought. What are we talking about?
Haaland.
Before that.
Oh, I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Well, anyway, so yeah, the 3 new signings are trading with the team. Hopefully, we'll see them in a couple weeks. But might be too little, too late by then.
Yeah, but still, it's you gotta remember, first year.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
No, yeah, definitely. And we can talk about that later in the episode, but definitely, they've achieved more than they should have on. And then the other little bit of news is, Guzman Kurujo did come out of the Chicago game with an injury, and during the press conference, Latanzio did say, it's not looking good. No, I haven't heard any updates since then, but I would say assume he will not be playing this weekend.
It looked like a hamstring injury.
Yeah, I mean, he's been kind of dealing with that the last couple of games, and I'm not surprised with the amount of minutes he's been playing. He's played every minute of every game. So, not surprised.
Yep.
That's unfortunate, but hopefully we'll get to see a little bit more of Zobosinski in the team. All right. Anything else you wanted to add to that, or did you have any news you wanted to touch on?
No, no real other news. Just a couple of the highlights in the MLS that I saw. I saw Gaines made the highlight reel for, sometimes MLS will put out like clips of skills players do throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
And Gaines made the highlight reel when he juked out that one Chicago guy.
Oh, yeah.
And we stood up to shoot, to start the chant.
Yeah, we tried to start the "Who Are You" chant.
The 2-man chant. It's gonna.
It was loud. There's only 2 of us, but we were loud.
People looked at us. They wanted to join.
Yeah. I think that's a good chant whenever
like,
someone gets cheeked out. It's, who are ya? Who are ya? Who are ya? Well, that's cool that he made the highlight.
I thought maybe some of the fans thought we were talking to them.
Yeah. They're like, I'm Bob, counting.
I'm Ron Burgundy? Yeah. There was that one guy, like, basically interviewing for jobs while he was sitting there.
Yeah. Just wanted to be
Good
like,
luck,
man, read the room. This is not the place.
Yeah. Not the place.
And you're talking about, like, how drunk you are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't normally
It
talk
started
to
off very
people,
well.
but, when I get that liquor in me.
Yeah.
Maybe not the way to get a job, but each their own. Whatever works, I guess.
He shows up to work drunk. I was like, I told you I'd need some liquor in me.
We hired you to be a truck driver. Figure it out. Yeah. And then, so anything else, or was that it?
I don't know how we were gonna fit this in or segue into it, but we did meet Brian.
Yeah,
that was cool.
That was I posted that online. That was like the one positive of the night. We got to meet Brian Romero. Seems like a very nice guy, or kid, I should say. But yeah, it was cool to meet him, and excited to watch him play next season for the MLS Next Pro team. Shoot, he might even get called up to the first team late this season. Who knows?
I would hope so. Probably put him in like the 80th minute or something.
Yeah, why not? If we're not fighting for playoffs, why not give him, 10 minutes or 15 minutes a game just to get some experience.
Yeah. But go out there and earn yourself a red card.
That would be sweet. If they just kind of sent him in like an enforcer. He's so small, though. I don't know if he'd do any damage.
He probably just like bounce off the defenders.
Yeah. He got some growing and bulking up to do for sure.
For sure.
Dude, I mean, even Ben Bender needs to bulk up this off season. He's someone who bounces off of people.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's pretty slick getting in and out of trouble.
Yeah. But so before we jump into the Chicago game, we did want to do, one of our other little non-Charlotte FC topics, and you came up with this one. I think it's going to be pretty fun. It's our top 3 boots of all time, or cleats for American listeners. You and I, growing up, were definitely like obsessed with different football boots, and like we were purchasing them pretty often. Especially me in high school, I was getting boots every like 6 months or something. And I know you're pretty big into the soccer.com catalogs. Got me into it. If you remember those.
Yeah, that's when like they came out and you could like customize your own cleats and everything, your own vapors.
Yeah. I just remember the magazines they would send every month.
Oh yeah.
Just collect a stack of those.
I wasted a lot of money on soccer.com.
Yeah, same. Yeah, but all right. Well, since it was your idea, let's have you kick it off. Give me your number 3.
All right. My number 3
and why
would have to be the Kelmies.
Oh,
I don't remember like the series or whichever version it was that came out, but it was the one with those heavy. I mean, at the time they were, every cleat was pretty heavy, but these were like the kangaroo leather with the long fat tongue, and it had the rubber band at the top, so you could like put the tongue over your laces, and it had the 3 they called it like a grip patterns on the inside near the toe line, similar to I think what the Predator.
Yeah, very similar to the Predators.
Yeah, but when I was playing soccer, it was like if you didn't have Kelmies, you were trash. Which is weird because
now they're gone.
I mean, the brand's still around, but it's not very popular.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. I mean, I understand why. It's all like, branding and players and stuff. And I don't remember too many players wearing them.
I don't remember anyone ever wearing Kelmies.
Yeah, but it was kind of like, I think just a school thing.
It was like, if you knew, you knew, They're kind of like underground.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, man, like you got to be serious to have Kelmies.
Yeah, they were like the first purchase I made of cleats that were over $100.
Yeah.
I think these were like 127 or something like that. And they came with like, the bag, and they also came with like this little can of, it's almost like pomade or something that you'd have to put on the leather to keep it nice after games, which I never did. But yeah, those were like some of my favorite cleats.
Yeah, I had in like 7th or 8th grade, I had like the cheap version of them, and just so I could have the band around the tongue, so you could like fold the tongue over. 'Cause that was like the most like that was like the legit thing, was like, oh, you have to have the tongue that can like cover the laces.
Yeah, because I remember before that they used to sell like those huge like rubber bands that would
I
cover
hated
them.
putting those on.
I hated that, but yet that was the thing. You just wore them.
Yeah.
Because apparently laces through your shot off somehow. I don't know how we ever bought into that, but everybody bought into it.
It's still a thing. I mean, if you look at most cleats, their laces are off-centered.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
But yeah, just a good bit of marketing. Well, that's a good. I haven't thought about Kelmies in a long time.
I looked them up, and I mean, there's still some. They're like indoor,
Yeah,
but you're gonna be paying quite a bit for.
got the
I
the
don't know.
nostalgia tax on it.
Yeah, basically, that's all you're really getting. I don't think they've came out with anything like too innovative since then.
Yeah, that's a good one though.
What about you? What's your number three?
My number three, it's gonna have to be. It's still one of my favorite cleats to this day. I had a pair in high school. Dad threw them away when I moved out. I was saving them because I knew they were gonna go up in value. He threw them out. They were barely used, and I've come very close multiple times to paying an outrageous amount of money to rebuy them just to relive the glory days. But it's the original black and green Nike Total 90 Laser 2s. They had the two laces. They had two sets of laces on each that you tied individually on the sides, like on each side of your foot, and then they were covered by like this rubbery grippy stuff that was like supposed to add spin. But they had a this was like 2009, 2010. Nike was just coming out with these great like commercials, and they had one where the guy has them. He takes a free kick, and I'm sure people have seen the commercial. If not, go look it up. It's pretty fun. But he gets noticed by Arsene Wenger at the time, who was coaching Arsenal, and he gets a trial at Arsenal, and then he gets to play at Arsenal, and it's this cool commercial with Ronaldinho's in it, Ronaldo's in it. Um, but it was just, and it was like this was back when like they were still advertising cleats as like if you play forward, you need to wear lasers. If you play, winger, you need to wear vapors. And I was, I played midfield growing up, and I was trying to be a forward for the high school team. So I was like, I'm gonna get lasers, so that way I can be a forward. But those were, and I still just love the way they look. Some of my favorite players wore them and had some great highlights on them. And it's one of those like last cleats that I've always thought looked good. I think kind of late 2012 cleat design started getting a little too much and a little grotesque. But those were like some of the ones I remember being my favorite of all time. And I've found them multiple times on like these resale websites that have like classic cleats, but they're like $600-700. And I'm like, man, they were like 150 when I bought them brand new. I don't want to buy used ones for 5 times the amount.
Yeah, especially if you're only gonna wear them like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
If wait, and at that point, I don't even.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't even wear them.
Are you talking about the ones that had like the skull of or the footprint of like the skull bones on the bottom?
Those were the laser ones. So this was the next iteration, and they had some of the best colorways too. So the black and green ones came out, and then they had some like white and black ones that were good, and then they had the like yellow and black, which was sweet, and then some black and golds, like some blue, like they just had so many of them, and they came out with like a kangaroo version too, which was cool. So if you wanted like the kangaroo leather, you could get that. But those are some of my favorites. I'll still just go look up old clips from like 2009, 2010, literally just to see those cleats.
Yeah, I'm looking at some online right now, just like images. Those do look pretty sweet.
Yeah, and they were heavy. I mean, just back then, all cleats were heavy, but they were really nice for like wide feet, like I have. Like they just fit so good, like no blisters or anything. But yeah, those were it. Those were like peak cleat design for me. All right, give me your number two.
My number twos right now would probably be these cleats. I still have the Nike Phantoms 2, I think they are.
Okay.
And I just like them because they're just easy to slip on and off,
For
and
you.
like the lace system. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, the lace system on it is like all internal, so all you gotta do is just tighten it and tie it up, and that's it. Like you don't have to like go down each loop and tighten it. It's like you just pull the two strings and it tightens around you, and like when it tightens, you can feel it tighten around your whole foot. which I
Mm-hmm.
like. And then again, the whole cleat is like it's got like the whole sock um, membrane in it, and it's like just one piece of shoe.
Yeah.
And there's obviously in the top there's no laces or anything like that. If they're comfortable to wear, they grip the ball real well. Um, and they weren't too terribly expensive either. I think they were close to 100, maybe like 80 or 90, somewhere in that range for just the firm ground ones. Um, and I just kind of bought these because I hadn't had cleats in a while. I needed a new pair, and I was just seeing what Nike had out because I'm usually more like a Nike guy,
Yeah.
anyways. And like I didn't want the vapors or anything like that. Um, so this was just like a different style I hadn't seen before. So I like them. They're not too bad.
Nice. Yeah, I have a pair of those as well. I don't wear them as much though. I feel like I have a harder time putting my foot in them. But I will say, man, cleats today are definitely not only are they a lot lighter, but they are more comfortable to wear, especially like right out of the box
Mm-hmm.
than when we were growing up. But some of the designs are so bad. The Phantoms are one of the few that are actually look good.
Yeah, and I like them because like they didn't have all these kind of crazy colorways in them, which I get now. Some of the younger players like, and they're flashy, but I just wanted like a solid color.
Yeah.
Um, because I didn't want to stand out too much, anyways. When I went out there, I was like, I am in no shape to try to stand out.
Yeah. That's a pretty good
If
one.
anything, I want to catch you by surprise.
Yeah. That's a pretty good one. Yeah. Those are out of the new ones that have come out lately. Yeah, those are ones I enjoy them as well.
What do you got for your number
For
two?
my number two, I am gonna go with another nostalgia pick. All my picks are gonna be nostalgia. Spoiler alert! But I'm gonna go with probably the first like pair of cleats I ordered from soccer.com, the Puma V106s. They were the first cleats that covered up the laces, so you didn't have to worry about the tongue or anything. They didn't really like have a tongue, kind of just like slipped your foot in it. And then they were like the first cleats that were I guess around the same time as the Vapors, but they were the first cleats that like also really focused on being super lightweight. They were like 7 or 8 grams, which was like way lighter than anything else at the time. They were super thin, so like a lot of the time it just felt like you were playing barefoot, which had its pros and cons. Like you could like when you hit a ball like dead center, you could really feel it, and it felt like really good. But then whenever you got stepped on or anything, like you also really felt that, and so I was like, oh, that one really hurt. Uh, and they were super thin, so like you unfortunately didn't get a lot of use out of them. I think the first pair I had lasted like thankfully a whole season, but back then like it was like middle school soccer, so it wasn't that long. I think maybe like 2 or 3 months. And then when I came up to high school, I got another pair of them, and they only lasted like I think like 2 months, so like not even a full season before the toes started tearing, just because they were so thin they would tear really easily. Um, but man, they were just so cool for like how light they were. They were like textiley, like really like interesting, like fabric kind of, and just way different than everything else that was out there. And it was different too, just because everyone was like Nike or Adidas, kind of like how it is now. But those were like the first Puma cleats that I really remember, kind of like standing out, and being like the only one to have them or something was pretty cool. It was a little different. And Samuel Eto'o wore them, so he always made them look good.
Yeah, the the rise and fall of Puma was what that's
Yeah,
all.
they're back now though. They got Neymar, Pulisic. They're making waves, but they still
That's cool.
look pretty ugly nowadays, at least to me. But I'm kind of picky. But yeah, those would be my number twos. Those were so fun to wear. Really hard to find them now. Oh, and I remember the other big thing was like a lot of uh, African players wore them, and Puma was like really big into like signing a lot of the African players and stuff. And they made green ones with like a pattern of like that looked like grass, so it like looked like I don't know, like grass on the cleats. That was pretty cool. That was like kind of
Oh, that is pretty
yeah, that was
cool.
kind of like different, something they hadn't done before, or that no cleat had done before. But yeah, and again for back then, for like how light they were, like I remember like anytime someone would pick up the cleats, they'd be like, "Holy crap, these are so light." And you're like, "Yeah, but it really hurts when you get tackled."
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. Like the light cleats, like, and they started making the waves. Everybody wanted them, but like you have to basically develop a callus on your like right under your toe or your
Oh
heel
yeah,
to
I
get
had
used
the
to them.
worst
Cause like
blisters under my big toe.
yeah, you definitely get blisters.
I remember my first season of high school soccer, which is when I had the Pumas. The second time is when I started getting like really bad blisters with them, and I could see like the different layers of skin I had because I would like get a blister, it'd heal a little bit, get another blister, that would heal, get another blister, that would heal, get another. It was like a jawbreaker. Like, oh, my foot just always hurt.
That's funny. Yeah, I think I've went through several of those,
Yeah,
especially with like new cleats. When you get like new cleats, I kind of always got that. But like going back to these Phantoms, I didn't get that with these new cleats, which I thought was surprising.
yeah. I got when we played on that pickup team this past spring, I got the new whatever they're called. They're not vapors, but they're type of mercurial. And I thought I was gonna get blisters from that, and some thankfully it didn't. It was really surprising, especially them being mercurials. But yeah, I think they just make cleats a lot better nowadays.
I've always wanted a pair of Mercurials, but you know, you and I had the same problem as far as having like a wide foot. I don't think they were ever made to um, like accommodate for that.
Yeah,
Like I never they were uncomfortable, too tight.
yeah. I had a pair in high school, and I mean I would wear them just because they looked cool, but I always my feet always hurt so bad whenever I would wear them. It was definitely like a look just flash instead of efficiency.
Yeah.
All right, so give me your number one pick.
All right. My number one is just going back to my first pair of ever white cleats that I owned. This is when like Ronaldinho, I think, were put out his R9s. But I could not afford R9, so I got the next best thing, and I got some Lotos Stadio
Mm-hmm.
Classics.
I
These are like
remember
back
those.
around the 2004. Yeah, another purchase of soccer.com. But yeah, those cleats actually ended up lasting me quite a bit. They never tore at the insoles or anything. I think I ended up just getting a new pair, and that's why I got rid of those. Um, but yeah, they're comfortable to wear. Felt great hitting the ball, and it was an Italian brand, so um, I don't know. I thought it was kind of pretty neat to have that.
Yeah.
Um, just trying to be like a I don't know something different too, because everybody had the Nikes, either the Total 90s or they're going into Vapors,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, I'm just gonna get these Lotus.
I remember those. Those looked good. Yeah, those are also like the first like white pair of cleats I remember. Well, seeing something different for the first time.
Yeah, it was weird, especially when I was like, man, like these are like too white, and it was like I remember like the only color that there was on them was I think at the bottom on the studs were black,
Mm-hmm.
and the writing obviously was black, but everything else, laces were white, stitching was white, and I think the logo was like a green or gold. I can't remember,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, those are pretty nice. If I could go back in time and like buy five or another pair of those cleats, I definitely would.
Yeah. You could probably find them now and never pay for them.
Yeah,
Nice.
but I won't. All right, what's your last one? What you
My
got?
last one, I think it's gonna be pretty predictable once I say it. They're not a pair I ever owned. They're a pair I wish I would have owned. Another pair that I have seen on some of these like classic boot websites that resell them for an outrageous amount of money and have thought about it. Definitely will never do it, but it's gonna be the white and gold Nike Air Legend Tiempos from Ronaldinho, the R10s on the tongue. Those were just
Nice.
so sick, and his commercial for them was awesome, where he just juggling, doing a bunch of juggling tricks, juggles from where he's sitting to the top of the box, and just hits the crossbar. It comes back to him. He just keeps juggling, hits the crossbar. Like, just that is just so iconic. The clips he had with them on for Barcelona, like playing in big Barcelona games, those were just like such stylish cleats, and again was just totally different than what was out at the time with the white and the gold. It
Yeah.
was just like so like kind of flashy and was like the way he played as well. Very stylish and joyful, and so those have always stuck with me. I never had owned a pair of them, but man, I would love to have my hands on a pair of them if it was reasonable. But yeah, those are probably my favorite
Yeah.
of all time.
I remember when it was around the Joga Bonito
Yeah, that kind of like kicked
era.
it off.
Yeah, and it was like he was on the pitch and somebody came out with like a
Yeah.
briefcase and the cleats were in it. I was like, oh dang,
Yeah.
like cleats in a briefcase. That's something. Yeah, definitely. I remember seeing those, and I think that's what made me want to get my white cleats.
Yeah.
But again, like those cleats at the time, Ronaldinho was like peaking, and everybody wanted to. Those had to be like $150, $200 cleats, most likely, at least.
What's funny is like I mean probably because we lived in the States, and I mean soccer was just not nearly as popular as it is now back then when we were playing. But I never saw anyone with them. I never like saw them in person or anything either. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but man, just yeah, like you said, like that video of like them bringing it out like in the briefcase and then like opening it up, and like in my head I almost hear like when they open the briefcase it's like that and I'm sure that's not there, but and then just everything he's done in them and stuff like it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And then that's kind of like when the whole white and gold started. Like, because I think Cristiano Ronaldo also had some vapors that uh, his scheme was kind of like a white and gold, like a white toe and then like a gold heel,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
all
yeah,
white and
yeah.
gold
With the
heel
Vapor
with the
threes,
vapor.
yeah.
Yeah, uh huh. And then Zlatan, that's when he kind of was also like starting to rise
That's
up.
another
His
good
were like
commercial
bluish one.
from the Joga Bonito days. Their
Yeah,
commercial
if you look
together.
at yeah, if you look at that commercial, like Zlatan was doing like a white and gray,
Was it
or
blue and
no, like a
gray?
blue and gray or blue and white, and Cristiano Ronaldo was doing the white and gold
Yeah.
with the black.
And then
And
that soccer ball
I
that
was
they
like, I want
released, the white
some.
and gold soccer ball,
Yes,
that we did have.
I wish I could get another. Yeah, I wish I could get another one of those
Oh,
balls.
those are the best.
Those were the best. Yeah, you can find
They're
them,
expensive.
but again, you're gonna be paying a lot of money for
That
them.
nostalgia tax is crazy. Because they're like that's the
Inflation.
other thing too. Like soccer balls were heavier back then too. Like I bought a new ball this year and it feels way different.
Yeah, they kind of like, and that's how you get a good bit of those knuckleballs now
Yeah,
too. Is these
you can really hit the
lighter
heck out of
soccer
them.
balls. Yep. Yeah.
Oh,
But
well, that was a
yeah,
great
good.
topic. That was fun to go down for me at least to go down nostalgia lane and reminisce on some old cleats. Man, I wish I would have never thrown or give away any pair. I wish I had them all.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of think back on it, but now it's like I don't know if I could still even wear them. I think my foot's grown a little bit since
Yeah,
then.
true, very true.
But that was good. Some other ones that we probably saw a lot were, the
Yeah,
Predators, the total 90s.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of those. People loved having those.
A lot of people are probably
I'm trying to
surprised we
think of
didn't have
some other
Vapor
ones.
on either of our lists. Those are huge growing up. Obviously, I mean they're
Yeah.
still around. That's like the only that and the Tiempos are like the only Nike brands that are still around. Um,
hmm When vapors were like kind of coming out, like those were like if you had vapors, you spent a good at least $120 on some
yeah,
cleats.
yeah,
And I just didn't, because I was dad never bought.
yeah,
I mean, he bought me one pair, and that was the Kelmy ones. Um, but I was like, it was always me buying my
yep,
cleats,
yeah, same,
or at least part of them.
yeah,
Or maybe he did buy them all. I just I don't think I could. I couldn't reason at like asking him for $100 pair of cleats every season.
yeah, yep.
I was like, yeah, these $40 to $60 ones is good enough.
Man, soccer.com, they used to have a great sale every year on their website, and I don't think it's as good
Yeah.
now. But then when I was in high school, because their warehouse was, I think in like Greensboro or something, uh, not too
Mm-hmm.
far, and they used to have a warehouse sale, so you could go to the warehouse and you would get like 80% off. So like me and my
Oh
buddies, we would
dang.
go. That's when we would go get cleats.
Oh,
But it
nice.
was like
I didn't know
it
about that.
was you kind of took a gamble on what was there, you know.
Right. It's like going to the Nike outlet.
Yeah, exactly.
They have like all of the same pair of shoes,
Yeah.
but they're
Yep.
$20.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, let's jump into the main crux of the episode, the match we had against Chicago this past weekend. You were there alongside with me. I took you to the game this weekend. Thankfully, no lightning delays or anything like that. The game went off without a hitch. Um, Unfortunate to lose 3-2 after a very, very physical game. Again, piss poor refing, probably the worst I've seen all season. But it's
It feels like
kind of been the story after every game that the refs are just awful in this league. Um,
I was gonna say it feels like it gets worse and worse as the season goes on.
yeah, it's crazy, especially lately. I feel like lately it's been really bad the last couple games.
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, it seems kind of like, at least for me, I know for some fans they still have hope in the playoffs. I think right now, for me, the hope for playoffs is pretty much on ice. It's been put in a medically induced coma, and the only way to resurrect it is by getting an away win, which we've only done once all season. So I'm not liking our chances, but who knows? But what were your takeaways from this match? How did you feel after the end of it?
I mean, for a soccer match, I thought it was pretty good back and forth. Again, unfortunate that we lost, but it didn't have like a dull moment at
Yeah,
all. Good physical game. Lots of goals were put in.
yeah,
Good goals
mm-hmm,
too. Um, Besides that, I mean, yeah, the refing was just trash. He let that game get out of hand pretty quick, and for as many fouls as there were in that game, there were very little cards shown. And I'm just not sure what's up with that.
yeah. One thing I was kind of surprised about is just, you know, no one got hurt really. Like, thankfully, no injuries, or someone had to get carted off or anything. Because Bronico took some big hits. Jones gave out some big hits.
Yeah, Carujo was hurt, but he kind of like took himself
Yeah,
out.
yeah, and that was more like just like a from running around, not getting like hit or anything. But I mean, it was just there were some nasty hits, especially early in the first
Oh
half.
yeah,
Like Bronico got kind of taken out pretty nastily, and then he got right back up and got the guy like a minute later the same way, and it was just like,
Yeah.
oof.
It went back and forth for sure. The one that stands out to me was later in the second half, like Jones just kind of jumps up in the air and takes out a guy. Like they're both, I think, going for a header ball somewhere in the box, and Jones is like, "It's either the ball or you."
Yeah. That's very true. He was willing to lose it all there. So I just wanted to pull this up for just to paint a picture. If you didn't watch the match and maybe you think we're just being overcritical of the referee or complaining too much, there was 39 fouls in that entire game, and only 5 yellow cards were shown. I mean, that's got to be like
Yeah.
a crazy low ratio of fouls to cards, and somehow no red card. We're all yellows.
Yeah, and later in the second half, like they even got into a shoving match, and you would think a card or something would have came from that, but no, the ref just kind of like walked away from it, and I was like, man,
Yeah, there was
like it was up to the players to break
there
it
was
up.
like two shoving matches, and in the second one, which was like in the Chicago box, he literally, yeah, like you said, he just walked away and just watched it unfold. I was like, is he gonna do
Yeah,
anything? Blow a whistle or? But he literally just watched it.
and that's what makes me wonder. Like, I'm not sure if it's just MLS refing or just refing has changed, um,
No, no,
like the nature of reference. But like I remember, uh, you know, back in early 2000s, 2010s, like when I was watching soccer a good bit on TV, like refs, if you get in a ref's face, he would get in your face back, and like he would be yelling at you and stuff. Now it's like you can just say whatever to the ref, and he like they kind of back away or try to push you away. It's like some of these refs you didn't mess with.
yeah, no, I think it's an
I
MLS
feel
thing
like
because
refereeing has just gotten
yeah,
soft.
I think it's an MLS thing because I was watching Premier League this weekend and the refereeing was so much better, especially like in the can't remember if it was in the Chelsea. I think it was in the Chelsea game, but it might have been the Leeds game. Like he booked players for diving, like, and that's something we didn't see all
Right?
game.
Yeah.
He like made them hurry with like if they were down, he immediately called like medical staff and told them you need to get off if you're hurt or get back up. Like called it way tighter. Like it was in all the games I watched, the refereeing was a lot better. Like you would see a
Yeah.
foul
Like
and he would call it as opposed to here in the MLS, you're like, how's that not a foul? And just not calling something. And it's
right.
consistent
Like
both ways.
whenever Bronico had that one foul in the first half, like even other players kind of looked around like to see if the play was gonna stop, but not even a play on was given or nothing. The ref was just kind of jogging along. It was just to me it was crazy, and like even going like what you said, like the ref in the Premier League was hurrying injured players off. Like we had one or two Chicago guys like just take their time with
Oh,
laying on the
especially
ground
in
and
that
stuff like
second
that. And
half.
like yeah, remember the one guy? He was supposedly injured, and then he got up as like he could play again, but the ref was like, "No, you gotta get off. You gotta get off," and he just took his time getting
Yeah,
off too.
yeah.
I was like, dude, he wasted so much
And
time.
there was another where the guy was down and then he got up and just shoved Mackenzie Gaines. So I was like, all right, well, you can't be that
Right?
hurt. And then, like,
No,
yeah.
exactly. Like he's
And even that
it
straight up
was it
shove
was
didn't only got both him and Gaines got a yellow card from that. I was like, are you kidding me? Like that's just so bad. That should have been a straight red. But
oh, you're right. That they did get some cards from the shoving. I think earlier I said there was no cards given, but they did get like one for each
yeah.
team was given.
Yeah, there was a total
Yeah.
of 5 cards given out. But I only remember those two. But I mean, there was like some fouls on the Charlotte players when they were like on breakaways, like right outside the box, and like all he did was call the foul. Like he didn't give a card or anything, and like Chicago, especially towards the end of that second half, was just doing that a lot. Like just doing a blatant foul to stop the play or to stop momentum, and there was no punishment for it. So of course they're gonna keep doing it, and it's just
And that's another thing too. I'm not sure, and this is in regards to fouls, but like offsides, I'm not sure if something changed in refing where, because like before, if you were offsides, that's it. The play was dead.
yeah,
Like the play was just you stopped on track. Now it's like the play is not dead until there's some sort of advantage from it. Like a guy could be offsides, he passed through the ball, but like they still got to chase him down, and the goalie still got to try to stop. Like you gotta like the defense still has to exert that
Yeah.
energy. Whereas before, like if he was offsides, like that's it, he's offsides, and you gotta track it back.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's because of like the new video
Yeah, I think it
replay,
has a little bit to do with that. They've made
but like some of these are just obvious, and the refs won't even call it. And I was like, man, or when they do call it, it's like 2 minutes too late.
Yeah, I think that does have to do with the VAR being a thing now, because I know that's been a big complaint in the European leagues as well, of like just not calling offsides right away or having to like wait for confirmation of it or something, like just because it is like so precise now, where like, if
Right.
just your hand is in an offsides position, you're offsides now. So I think that has come into effect of making that worse, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess I'm just used to the other style, and I'm just like, man, why are you taking so long to blow the whistle? And this guy's been offside for like 2 minutes straight almost.
Yeah, I liked it when it was the other way of like, even if they get it wrong, like if the guy calls it and just blow it right away. I always felt like that was just part of the game. Like if they get the offsides wrong, like that's just part of the game. I'm not a big
Yeah.
fan of VAR, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, because even in like some of the goal scoring, VAR hasn't always been too pleasing or too favorable. But I guess the game has to evolve
Yeah,
with everything else with technology.
yeah, and with the amount of money in it and stuff, like
Right.
this can be very costly mistakes to teams. Uh, so I get it, but I kind of always liked how that's just part of the game. Roll with the punches. But it is what it is. So let's dive into the first half. What were your kind of big takeaways from the first half? Any key highlights or key players you want to talk about or discuss?
Yeah, we, obviously with the starting 11, we got the Gaines back on that right side. Lindsay is in for awful. And I think besides that, we have the regular starters.
Yeah, pretty
Obviously,
much.
Ruiz is not. We got Bender, Sadursky, Fuchs is back in. Um, but no, I mean like right away, like in the first minute, like man, if you're stuck in the concession stands or anything, if you miss the first minute of the game, you missed a beautiful header.
Yep. Yeah.
That was Reina. That was a great header. Good pressure by the
Great cross
offense.
by Lindsay.
Yeah, which is I think you and I both said it before. Doesn't seem to be that great at crossing sometimes, or a lot of times he's like way over.
Yeah.
But this one was
Perfect.
right on the money. Yeah, and surprising how Reina was able to get that out of reach. So that was nice.
Yeah, just a great little diving header.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
the first MLS player to score two 26-second goals or score in less than 26 seconds, something like that. Crazy stat
Wow.
of just scoring super early. Unfortunately, we have lost both games where he has scored that early.
Maybe that's like a bad juju
Yeah.
thing. If Reina scores if he scores first, that means we're gonna
Both
lose.
games that he's scored in, we've lost.
I know it's unfortunate
Yeah.
too, because I mean that's got to be so demoralizing as a player, where you're going out there and giving 110%, putting all that effort in to make sure your team gets ahead, and then defense kind of gives it up. Because I felt like a lot of these goals that came in, a lot of it was just on defense. Like I felt like our defense was too deep in the box.
Yeah.
Like, or just could barely keep up with these attackers. I think you and I both said it when we were watching Fuchs. Fuchs looks tired. Fuchs needs to come out. Things like that. But it's
Because
like,
he had some really good moments in that first half of like shutting down their number 7 out in the wing. Like
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
But it didn't last long.
in that second half, you could tell he was gassed and just like wasn't
Right.
applying the same
Yeah.
amount of pressure, like giving attackers more space, just getting beat on
Yeah.
sprints. Like,
And it didn't help any that Carujo went out with injury in that first half. Was it the first
at
half?
the end of the first half, yeah.
At the yeah.
Or was it at the
But
end or
still,
early in the first? Now I can't remember.
I thought it was like I thought it was when Chicago got their first or second goal.
I think you're
Maybe
you're
their
right. You're right.
second
The
goal.
31st minute, I think that was the second goal.
Okay. But yeah, no, I just felt like this whole game was mostly on poor defensive pressure.
Yeah.
Like I felt like we gave too big of a cushion. Because obviously we scored in that first minute, but it didn't take long for Chicago to come back and respond. And when I saw that goal go in, I almost thought it was gonna. It was like no way. Like I thought it was offsides or something.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna get called back. It seemed unreal.
It did seem unreal. Like Kalina was like holding on to the ball. Like it was like a really slow restart.
Right. Yeah. Like it was gonna get called back or something. But
yeah.
nope. They put it up there on the board and just had to move on. What'd you think of that first goal that Chicago put in? I mean, because he had some good saves too. Don't get me wrong. Kalina had some good saves.
Yeah, I mean it could have easily
but
been
they
more.
shot on him quite a bit.
He had some really big saves early on.
Mm-hmm.
There was one like I think right after we scored, he had a huge save, and he had like a double save. It was what it was. I'm trying to find it in the highlights here. But yeah, like
I kind of in the 16th minute, he had that one save where like he had to put his body on the
that's
line.
what I'm thinking of. Yeah, and it was just like
Yeah.
he just had so many big moments in the game where without him, it could have easily been way more than just a one goal difference. He had some great blocks from long range, from coming out in the box. Like really good game by him. I know it probably doesn't seem like it based on the scoreline, but no, he had a really good game and just got let down by his back line once Carujo came out.
Yeah. I think that first goal that Chicago put in, I think a lot of people thought maybe it was offsides because when the ball, when Kalina deflected the first shot, he was ahead of the defenders, but I guess it doesn't count offsides because he played the ball and the guy was onsides first. And
yeah, well, if you watch it, the
off.
guy stays on up until the moment Kalina hits it. So I think so he's on.
Yeah.
Blocks just
and I
doesn't
get
do a
that.
great job of keeping track of them. Like just gives them way too much space. Like doesn't really try to sprint after him or anything.
Yeah, it's he gets. I think he was behind. If you look at the highlight reel, he's kind of behind Carujo at the time, between Carujo and Fuchs, and nobody's tracking him. Like absolutely nobody. If anything, Bronico should have been on him more, but Bronico's like right towards the top of the box. The ball's deflected, and you got like 2 seconds to react, and no way Bronico's gonna get to him in time.
Yeah.
A lot of these Chicago guys got left unmarked for the rebound ball.
Yeah. Or even in the second Chicago goal where the guy gets it at the top of the box from the header. Like, Bender's just on the wrong side of him at the top of the box. And it's like, all right, you can't let that happen. Like, when you're defending, like, you always have to be goal side, meaning, like, your body is in between the opponent and the goal. He's just kind of, like, out in the middle of nowhere. And that guy just has all that space and time to hit that volley. I mean, there's, I'm watching, like, the highlight there, and, I mean, there's, like, 4 guys running to the top of the box pretty much unmarked whenever that cross comes in. And then they do that little, like, layoff header to number 31 who scores it, and, like, I mean, Bender's just right there, but just gives the guy way too much space.
No, yeah, you're right. I think the one I was talking about was that second goal, but still, it's just they gave him way too many
Yeah.
cushions. And going back to what you said, like, yeah, Walks couldn't track him down on that first goal. Walks couldn't track that guy down. And I'm not sure if I said it before or not, but I think out of the four that are in the back, Walks is probably the the weaker defender.
Yeah, probably have to agree with that.
And he's had to chase down a couple guys, and
I think
but
I think he works really
I'm
well with
I'm not too
Carujo, but then once
disappointed with.
Carujo's out, I feel like he just kind of loses a little bit of quality.
Yeah, I think as far as like back four, I've always liked either Awful or Lindsay. I think those two are just like mirror images of each
Yeah.
other. Which maybe Awful has a little more experience and some better control and better passes, and Lindsay has the maybe just a little more stamina. Um, but I like Lindsay on that right side, Carujo in the center, Fuchs in the center, and Moore on the left. Like I think that's a solid back there. And then Walks and come in for a like a sub for Fuchs or
Yeah.
somebody.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of thought our back line looked good whenever it was Mora, Walks, Carujo, and Lindsay are awful. Like no Fuchs back there. Obviously, he does bring a lot to the table, but just that stamina issue, I think
Mm-hmm.
he actually does bring more to the table when he's at that left back spot, just because of how he can go forward and has that passing vision.
But I think Moore does the same
Well, I
too,
was
though.
gonna say like probably Moore probably doesn't do it as well. I don't think his range of passes is as good as Fuchs, but I think Mora can defend better later on in the game and continue to like get up and down for longer in the game,
Yeah,
just because he's younger,
because
got fresher legs. So it's kind of like I'm happy giving up what Fuchs can bring on the offensive side of the ball to have like a bit more stability with Mora.
like don't forget Moore on the last game against DC. He started two of those goal
Yeah,
scoring plays.
yeah, he has a
So
great crosser to the ball. I think there's just like some other passes that Fuchs can play that maybe Mora doesn't. Like some, find like he tends to find like Bender like in the half spaces at the top of the box a lot really well, like through the ground, and
mm-hmm.
he like tends to switch it really well as well. Um, but Mora
Right.
is, he gets in good positions to cross it or to connect with Reina really well. Um, so I think like we're not giving up that much on the offensive side of the ball, and probably like because even Fuchs at center back, I think he still gets gas there. And it's like, I mean, I'd rather
Yeah.
just have Carujo and Walks who can play the whole 90 and Mora who can play the whole 90, and then you can bring in, you can use, your subs more on the offensive side of the ball.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I always like to bring, or I always think at least one of your subs should be either a defensive, like one of your fullbacks, or a defensive mid, just to get at least one pair of fresh legs in that defense for when you want to grind out some 1-0s or you don't want to give up another goal on ties or something like that. Like
Yeah.
I always think you should bring a defensive in, but
I mean, that's something you
yeah,
could
if you
use
want to go
Fuchs
for the
for
win,
too.
that makes sense. Yeah, but I think he's just. I don't think he has enough stamina
No, but
sometimes.
I mean, like, if you
I feel
start
like.
Mora and then in the 70th minute take Mora out and put Fuchs in, like, I mean, that's a big sub, like, for other
I
teams
don't
to
even
deal with.
think you need to. I don't think you even need to take more out. You put more on the left side, Fuchs in the center back,
Yeah.
and then maybe in the 70th minute you take Fuchs out and bring in Walks.
Yeah.
But it's there's so many variations to it. We could go on and
Yeah,
on.
yeah, very true. Especially since we're adding two new defenders as well.
Yeah, at least they're young and they look like they have some offensive skills to them.
Yeah, the I forget his last name, but Nathan, the right back. I mean, I'm excited for him to get involved because he's kind of like
Yeah,
that sweet. He's I think he's 31, so it's a good age, like good sweet spot in between
yeah,
Lindsay and Awful. And again, it's hard to
Uh-huh.
tell just from a highlight tape, just because his highlight tape does look so good. But I feel like he is going to bring something to that side that we haven't seen yet before, of just pace, power, technical ability. Like I think he's going to be. I think he's going to slot in to start right away. I'd be willing to bet that, and I think we'll see a big impact from him right away, just because
Yeah.
we do tend to play
Yeah.
it out wide so much.
Sure.
What did you think
What
of
else we might have?
Mackenzie's Gaines' performance as a whole? Because he's someone who's getting a
Uh,
lot of criticism lately. I kind of fall somewhere in between of,
yeah.
some of that criticism's valid and some of it is just a little bit over the top. And I think people just don't know what they're
What
watching.
what have what have you heard?
Just people complaining about, why is he in the starting lineup? Why is he playing? He can't shoot or cross. Like all he has is speed. Um, I think some of those claims are valid. Like I don't think he has the
Right.
best crosser shot, but I don't think he's as bad as
No.
people
Yeah.
think. I think he's improved a lot. You think back on what was it against Seattle where he had that big blunder of not squaring it up to Swiderski and
Yeah.
getting the easy
Yeah.
goal. I think he's learned from that. I think his crosses are starting to look better. Um, and he's
I
he
think
had
he
a good.
waits too long
Go ahead.
to cross it. I was gonna say I think he waits too long to cross it. Like sometimes he'll get all the way down, like almost to the end of the field before deciding to go across, and like at that point you have very little room to work with, and the cross is your only option, and like your defense knows that.
Yeah.
So it's like it's either you're gonna cross or you're gonna try to do some fake out, but it's kind of 50-50. And um, if you got a good calm or like a defender on you that doesn't get juked out easily, uh, you're not gonna have much to work with.
Yeah.
I kind of agree a little bit with some of the criticism as far as in regards to um, obviously his crossing and his shooting. His shooting has not been the best, um, where he just either puts it way over or right at the keeper.
Yeah.
But we've kind of seen that from other players too that have scored. So with that, I'm not gonna criticize too bad. But it's between Gaines and then Yazviak,
Hmm.
and those two. I mean, Yazviak's not any. I don't feel like Yazviak's any
I
better.
I think Gaines has had more of an impact. I think he's created more chances. Early in the first half of this game, he has a nice early
Mm-hmm.
cross to Swiderski that just kind of gets put wide, and then he makes a great run and has a shot at the keeper. It gets like you said, he shoots it right at the keeper, unfortunately, but like he's getting in those positions. Again with that
Right.
speed, like I just think that he brings something to the table that Yazwiak doesn't. Um,
Right. And the thing is, Yazviak's one of our DPs, and like we've seen other DPs come into these teams and be impactful right away, and like Yazviak has not,
yeah,
and he's been with the team long enough now where like you gotta wonder like what are you doing?
I don't think his like
Why?
crossing's any better than Gaines. Um,
Right.
he doesn't really cut in and shoot either. Like I feel like a lot of the
No.
times he just draws a foul, but we're so bad at set pieces that that doesn't matter.
Because see, the thing is, Gaines can beat these defenders with his speed on the outside and eventually like cut in for a shot or a
Yeah,
cross. Whereas like Yazviak, he doesn't really seem to have that speed, and he doesn't seem to have like that flair to like juke out defenders.
yeah,
Um, and, from the highlight reel that they showed when we first got him, like he seemed like somebody that could shoot from outside the box, and but there weren't too many
like
highlights.
a minute of highlights. Yeah,
Right? Yeah, it wasn't like that many, and you can see why. Like I don't know, he hasn't had any assist that I know
no,
of. Certainly hasn't had any
yeah,
goals. Whereas Gaines has had a couple of assists already. One that I can definitely recall on. Um, and he's always in good position too. I don't know. At this point, I think Gaines is a better choice to start,
I think so too, because
but
I mean he can.
there's still a lot of improvement.
Yeah, he can improve on the crossing and the finishing, and I feel like once he does, which he's shown to, he is improving on it. Like I think it has gotten better since the beginning
Right.
of. Uh, I think he'll be a lot more impactful and a lot more threatening, especially like if he can cut in on his left and start shooting with that left foot. Like that's going to be another
Mm-hmm.
dynamic that defenders have to watch out for. Or if he can just keep outside and just play better crosses in. I think the real issue though is like I just don't think Serderski's the type of forward that's gonna succeed with like crosses in the air. I feel like you just have to play more to his feet. Like he's just I think we'd get the most out of Serderski when it's he gets service that way. Not when he has to fight for 50-50 balls, but more on like something he can run onto or play directly to him.
Yeah, because we've seen some of his headers where a lot of his headers seem to just go straight down to the ground.
Yeah.
You don't see those real powerful, aggressive headers where they like um, kind of stay in the air or
And
like
he's just not that
go up
big of a
to
guy
top right
either.
or top left.
Like he's not
Right,
a huge presence in
right.
that box. I think he's kind of again better of like someone who holds their run up to the top of the box and you just lay it off to him and let him blast it in, or
Yeah,
you play him into the middle so he can cut to his left foot and shoot from the top of the box, something like that. Like I think with Soderski you just have to play him more directly, like to his feet, and not make him fight for all these headers. Just because I mean, we're what 24 games in, and it just that does not seem to be the formula for success for him. All his goals have come from like the run of play or him like tapping something in, not really
yeah. I think
headers.
he's only had like one or two that have been like where he's actually shot it, like a shot.
Yeah,
But not too many. I know one of them was the free kick, and another one. I mean, you just have to go back to the early season game, earlier in the season, and look at some of those. Because besides that, he hasn't had too many other goals. The ones that have came from him since the firing have been like these kind of flimsy, bounce it off of a defender goal, or I can't remember really like decent, powerful shots that he's had.
yeah, but I think even then it's like I think he would have more of a chance of scoring a goal like from getting the ball at the top of the box and like kind of cutting it and trying to
Yeah,
shoot from there than having him run into the
yeah.
box and
Then
try to head it.
no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, like at the top instead of like around the 6 yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like he needs a little more room to work with to figure it
Yeah,
out,
exactly.
or to better get an
Yeah.
angle instead of just reacting. But no, totally
Yeah.
agree. Jumping into the second half. Um, what are we? 2-1 still,
2-2 at the end of the
I
half.
believe. 2-2. Okay, yeah. Who put that second goal in? Soderski, right?
Yeah, I think it ended up
That
being was
own
yeah,
goal,
like own goal, Swiderski goal, whatever you want to call it. It
right?
was a scrappy goal. We'll take them.
Yeah, yeah. Nice work by Reyna to cut back and kind of float it up there
Yeah, and I kind of want to just touch on that for a
for
second.
Bender.
Rain is another player who I think gets unfairly criticized, and it's funny because like some of the stuff I saw over the weekend about him, in I think it was the same person that posted it. It might have been two different people, but in one post, some guy was criticizing Reina because he only had 5 or 6 flashes of good play, and then another post, and I think it was the same guy who, I think someone tried to kind of like criticize Rogersky a little bit, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I mean, he had like 3 or 4 good moments in the game. Like, what more do you want from Serdersky?" And it's just like, all right, well, we got to be consistent on how we criticize players then, because you can't say that one guy had 5 or 6 good moments and that was it, and another guy had 3 and say that that was enough. Uh,
Right, especially for a forward.
yeah, and I don't agree with either take really. I think if that's all you're seeing, you're missing a lot of the game. I think Swiderski does a lot like deep in or like towards the midfield of, being someone who can hold up the play or, do a lot of one touch passes out wide. I think he's great at moving the ball around. Obviously he's a striker, so we want to see more finishes, more goals, but I think he brings a lot to the table from just a technical aspect. But then Reyna does as well. I think he's probably the best crosser on the team. Top three
Mm-hmm.
dribblers easily, and can cut in and shoot. Can take defenders out wide. Like he's a very tricky winger. Like you're not sure what he's gonna do. Is he gonna keep going out wide to cross it, or is he gonna cut in and try to set up a 1-2 with Sergerski? You just don't know what he's gonna do, and I think a lot of people are just missing that and are just choosing who they want to criticize and who they want to protect at all costs, and it's just hilarious to see.
Yeah, no, I think Rain is good, especially as far as like his situational awareness, what's going on around him or who's running in behind, like and creative and how he gets his passes off.
Yeah,
Especially for if you go back and look for that second goal, like he kind of cuts it back and then just lifts it up there. Like you don't see that too many times, and at least not in MLS, I don't think.
no, and even like how he set up.
It was just like a very creative pass, and even for that type of pass, it was very accurate.
And it's like the way we set
So
up the goal at DC United, where he like just does a one-touch pass to Mora for him to run onto, and then Mora crosses it, and we score off that. And it's like on paper you might not see Reyna's involvement, but like that's a lot of like you said, like the situational awareness and like the technique to just pull that kind of stuff off. Um,
right,
and Swiderski does a lot of similar things as well. Like we can talk about it in the second half. He has a great one-touch pass to Alcivar, who puts him on a breakaway, and unfortunately Alcivar wastes it. But like that one-touch pass takes a lot of skill, and I think just a lot of fans have missed that. They just don't know what they're seeing.
yeah, I think they just kind of follow the ball until it's in the box, and then they track the
Yeah,
player.
yeah, exactly.
Did he get hurt? I know he got hurt, but he stayed on though, right?
Yeah, he came off in the second half for Shinyashinsky,
Okay.
which is probably my one criticism of the substitutions this past game was I think, we said, Gaines is doing well, but I think if you're going to take any of the wingers off, it probably should have been Gaines for Shinyashinsky. I think Reyna was doing a lot of
Yeah.
good work there. But it might have been a
Yeah.
precautionary, substitution. Maybe he was starting to feel the hamstring get tight or something. We don't know.
Yeah. And it's weird how when Siderski was away on international duty, we're like, okay, who's going to be a goal scorer? Because it's definitely not going to be Rios. And then Shinoshinsky comes onto the scene, and it's like goal after goal after goal. And then we get Siderski back, and I'm thinking, like in my mind, I'm thinking we're about to have two great goal
Yeah.
scorers. Like these guys are consistent, and it's the opposite. Like Shinoshinsky seemed to just kind of shut down almost. I mean, he still put one on maybe. I think since the firing, he's had maybe one goal.
No, I think
I
it's
can't
been more than
recall.
that.
Has
Yeah.
it? But it just feels like he has not been as impactful uh, when since the return of Soderski. Like I thought with
Yeah.
Soderski and Shinoshinsky both on the field, we were gonna like have two great weapons where like defenders were gonna have to, you know, shadow almost, and it doesn't feel that way, and especially on the Shinoshinsky and a little bit on Soderski too. Like the past couple of goals Soderski's had have been, own goals, lucky, um, but it doesn't feel like he's been both, or at least Shinoshinsky doesn't feel like he's been as impactful.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fact check you on that. He scored against Nashville. He scored against Houston. Uh, so there's two. I mean, I don't want to go through all these matches, but I think he's scored more often than you remember. He actually started.
How many goals does he have?
He got 5 or 6. I think he's only one behind Swiderski.
I think he's only got like 5. And I think the ones that he has, at least 3 of those were during. I know he scored. I know he scored in his debut.
Yeah, against.
And I think he scored, if not every game, like every other game after that. But it just seems to have slowed down. In my mind, it seems like Shinshinsky's performances seem to have just kind of slowed down. Maybe it's because he's not getting started.
I was gonna say he's
minutes,
getting a lot less
sure.
time lately.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure has something to do with it. Let's see if there's a way to look. Terrible podcasting.
You should be able to look up his stats, right?
Yeah, I'm just wanting to see who all it was against. Maybe they don't have that. Maybe they just have the total.
They might just have the total, or it seems like they just have the total, but still, it just doesn't feel like Shinshinsky has.
I definitely agree with you on the Shinshinsky front.
Performed.
Like, he definitely has slowed down scoring, and still been, since he's come back from the international break, still been pretty inconsistent with it. Like, he had the one against, I think it was Nashville, where he, that was like a good goal for him, and he went up and broke the throne in celebration.
That's Swiderski.
Yeah, Swiderski.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he definitely has slowed down and been not as consistent as we would have thought he would be. And Shinshinsky, I agree. Like, maybe the last 2 games he's been less impactful. I feel like every game before that he has come on and had an impact right away, whether it be an assist or a goal. But maybe not so much the last 2 games. But he's also from what I've heard, supposedly he's getting less playing time right now just due to trying to avoid paying him certain what's it called, performance incentives that were in his Colorado contract. And we bought that contract, so I think they're trying to avoid that. So I think that's kind of why he's not getting as much playing time. At least that's the rumor I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not. But I agree. But that was, that's kind of expected for his goal scoring too, because he was kind of on a crazy pace, like a goal a game or like a goal and a half a game. That's kind of a lot, even for a forward. Like, you don't see that many forwards be that consistent in scoring.
Yeah, I guess maybe I don't know.
So he's scored.
Good forwards, yeah.
Well, you go look at any forward. They don't have a goal a game ratio, Even Ronaldo, I don't think, has a goal for every game.
I think he does.
But he scored in back-to-back matches. I just figured they would, against
with Swiderski and Shinshinsky both being back. I just figured, like, if Swiderski's not getting one, then Shinshinsky's gonna get one.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Anyways, we kind of dragged that on a little bit. Let's go into the second half.
All right. What did you think of Derek Jones' performance?
It was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. I think he's good in that defensive mid for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't see a lot of.
It did seem like they quit trying to, especially the goalie, like, hit the long ball straight down the middle, because he just started winning those headers.
Right.
And then he had some big physical moments of just, trying to run and win that ball.
Yeah, he definitely had his moments, but I didn't think they were, like, as impactful. One that really kind of more stands out to me was, like, Bronico, I felt like Bronico had a way better game than usual.
Yeah, that was actually, we talked about that during the game too, like how, and last week we talked about how much better he's been getting. I agree with you. He had a good game, a really good game against Chicago here. But the big thing for Derek Jones for me, the takeaway was like I feel like he should play that deeper spot and let Bronico go more forward and have maybe take Bender's spot and have him and McNeil kind of be the two center mids kind of more forward because I felt like he was doing really well the further up the field he got. Like he had that shot
Yeah, I could
early
see
on in the
that.
second half.
Yeah, yeah, I could. That's a good proposition there. Just because Bronico is also defensive enough where he trucks back and plays defense real
And he's
well.
physical
Whereas
too.
Bender, yeah, exactly. Whereas Bender, not so much, or he'll lose track of guys. Um, Obviously, Bronico's just better on the defensive side than Bender.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be an interesting mix up there.
Yeah, at least until Santos is ready to play. Uh, I think that'd be a good
Right.
experiment. I think when Santos comes in, Bronico probably could. If they did do that experiment, I think once Santos came in, he would slide back to that defensive mid role behind the two midfielders. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see for sure.
Yeah.
And any other standout performances or key moments in that second half for you?
No, I mean, obviously, Chicago had that third goal drop in on us very early in the second half, and it was kind of demoralizing. Um, I Man, some of these goals that went in on Kalina, I feel like I've seen him stop multiple times, and I've seen him stop, and even in this game, we saw him stop way harder
The
shots,
third goal, especially, I
and
was kind of surprised that one went in.
yeah, I was very surprised that that third goal went in. Like it was out of reach, yeah, but I was like, I feel like I've seen him stop that shot 100 times almost.
And like you said, like it feels like he's stopped harder shots. Like even in this game in the 80th minute, like the defender or the Chicago attackers like right outside the 6 yard box and like blast one at him, and he's able to stop it, like deflect it up and then catch it. Just like man, like
Right?
I don't know, how'd you stop that one?
Yeah. They almost have another similar one around the 53rd
It hits
minute.
that
Luckily,
post.
the post saves us.
I will
Yeah,
say
goes right back to Kalina.
we've gotten some pretty good karma from the post over the season. There's been a couple of moments like
Yeah,
that where it's just like that should have gone in, but hit crossbar, hit post.
yeah. That post needs a jersey number on there or
Yeah,
something.
needs a statue built in front of the stadium.
Yeah, yeah. Besides that, we went into the game. Definitely started to get more and more physical as time went
Yeah,
on. A lot of time was wasted in between that. Fake injuries. I would say more on the Chicago side because that was most likely part of their
yeah,
tactic. Once they got that third goal, just wind the clock down by whatever means necessary, and unfortunately, that's part of the game. Um, but still, like uh, we had a couple of calls go our way with some free kicks that I don't know. At some point, like you gotta go for some of those. Just go straight for goal. I felt like Alcivar should have went for a couple of
yeah. That
those.
that like little
Um,
trick play that Zajerski and Alcivar tried to do, I thought that was kind of like a waste, and like it was so uncoordinated that Zajerski had like telegraphed it really obviously, like 'cause he tried to go for the run right away, but then Alcivar didn't like do the kick, so he tracked back and was like, "Play the ball there." And by that time, like the defender knew to track him, and then the
right.
angle, I mean, that's just such a tight angle. I don't know how you're gonna score that,
Oh
especially
no,
with a
yeah.
defender
I
on
don't
you.
think. Yeah, I don't think. Like I don't think that's how that play was supposed to. I think Alcivar placed that ball badly, and just Sudarski tried to force it.
Yeah,
Where maybe he tries to put it back in play. I thought he should have tried to put it like that angle, like you said, it was just crazy.
I think one of them just should have just went for it. Like, you're down a
right,
goal,
yeah.
just
Like
go
I thought
for it.
exactly. Like I thought Alcivar should have went for it that last. I think that was probably one of the last free kicks we had.
Yeah, that I can remember. Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, just go for it. Like there, like just definitely go for it. We had a good bit of crosses where, or corner kicks. I mean, where nothing really developed.
Yeah, and then
Um,
we had that Alcivar breakaway, where
yeah,
Swiderski plays him in really nicely with that one touch pass. Um, and then I think he just gets overwhelmed by choice and just whiffs a shot. I don't know. What'd you think of it?
yeah, yeah. No, I think you described it perfectly. He seemed to like just kind of stutter step in flight or flight mode, and he just froze up. Um, where I think another player would have maybe hit it better or hit it quicker.
Yeah.
Alcivar is one that I also feel like he, even though he's coming on, his play style doesn't seem to be improving.
Yeah.
It just seems
Yeah. I
stagnant.
don't know what's going on with him. But I
Yeah,
agree
it
with
just kind
that.
of seems stagnant. I don't know if he's like demoralized by all the, um, the staff changes in regards to coaching and players and formation, or what. But it
I
just
mean, he does look like
he
he's
doesn't seem
lacking
to be like
confidence.
100% there. Right.
Like when he gets on the field,
Yeah.
he does seem like not very confident. Like,
Whereas before, I think he had that one goal from the corner,
yeah.
and didn't he have another one from a free kick, or was that Ortiz?
I think that was Ortiz, but I'm not sure. I think he only has one
Was it?
goal.
It might have been Ortiz, but I felt like earlier in the season he was playing like a lot harder, a lot more aggressive, and now he's just kind of out there, um, like it's just another game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Well, so I've kind of already hit on like, where I think we lie with playoffs. What are your thoughts on the playoff situation right now after uh this past weekend?
Get your tickets ready. It's playoffs.
You think there's
We're
still a
going.
chance?
There's still a chance.
You really think that?
Of course. Who do we got next? LA? That should be a win. Maybe. I think they're gonna underrate us, or they're gonna take us lightly, and we're gonna win an away game.
Against LAFC with Gareth Bale.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
I don't see that happening.
I'm just being optimistic.
I understand that, but
Because if I'm right, then I get to rub it in your face.
man, if you
And if I'm
that'll be
wrong,
a
then
good
it's
one if
like,
you're
well, of
right.
course. I mean, it's LA. Of course.
It's gonna be a
Same thing for New York.
tough stretch of games
If I'm
though.
right.
We play LAFC in the
Yeah.
weekend, and then in the middle of the week we play New York,
New York.
both away.
Two tough teams. Yeah, both away. Um, like if I'm being realistic, yeah, playoffs are pretty much done.
I I
Um,
agree with you though that like if we win any away game and continue
then we're
to
back in it.
be winning at home, I think it's we're back in it. But yeah, I mean just with our record on the road, I'm not counting on that unless
No,
we get to
yeah,
play Houston again.
and they might beat us.
They're having struggles of their own from what I've been seeing, but who knows? Yeah. All right. Oh, you know what? And we didn't get to it at the top of the uh top of the episode. Probably should have, but we are going to be giving away 2 tickets to the August 26th game against Orlando, the home game. Uh, they'll be in the 300 section. So if you want to enter on this episode, you can either leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That'll get you an entry, and just leave the hashtag and the review for the crown, so that way I know it's an entry. Or you can go to YouTube, leave a comment of what was your favorite moment of the season so far. That'll be an entry. We'll be posting on Twitter and Instagram as well, and you can enter those as well. Those will be additional entries. And you do have to be following us or be subscribed to us to win. And we will be picking the winner the week before the game. So pretty much right after the New York game, I believe, we'll be picking a winner. Yeah, because that is that weekend.
Yep. And if you definitely want to win those tickets, I will be posting my Cash App on Instagram.
Yeah, and it's slight correction. It's August 21st, not the 26th. So August 21st will be the home game against Orlando. We'll be giving out those tickets. Follow us on our socials for more information on that, how to enter, how to win. And we'll be announcing the winners on the episode after the New York game. So that would be August 19th or 20th that we'll be revealing the winner.
And these are the nosebleed tickets, right?
No, those will be actually the seats you and I sat at. As a matter of fact, tell the listeners how good of seats those were.
They were okay.
You got a free soda. How dare you?
No, those are good seats. Not too close where everybody's standing up crazy, and not too far away where you're like trying to figure out who's got the ball. Bank of America, they got a good seating arrangement even on the 500 section, but no, those were good seats. And then obviously the lobbies, like AC, it's nicer. That's even where we met Brian. He was just out and about walking with the normal people. I was like, you can't be doing that.
I'm sure he had a box.
Famous now.
He had one of the boxes.
Still, but he can't be out there mingling with us normal folk.
Yeah.
Good seats overall.
If you want a chance to meet Brian, enter, win the tickets, and maybe he'll be there again. Who knows?
Yeah, tag us on the picture.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Pablo. Any final words for the listeners?
No. I heard that wasn't really Brian that we met. Some other random kid who took a picture with.
That could be true. Who knows? I'm pretty sure it was him though.
It's like, yeah.
There's a lot of likes on Twitter about it, so I think someone would have let us know.
Oh really? You put it on Twitter and you got a lot of likes?
Yeah, quite a few.
Like 10?
Probably more than that. Yeah. I'm not gonna go look.
I need a number. Nah.
But yeah, we got a good amount, decent amount. But awesome. Well, if you guys like the episode, leave a 5-star review. Again, leaving a review will get you an entry to win the tickets. And then share it with a friend. That could be someone you want to bring to the game or give you an extra chance to win other tickets. And if you want to interact with us more on social media, we are on Instagram and Twitter at offsides_CLTFC. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe, and you'll be able to see our handle for Twitter and Instagram on your screen. It'll be right up there. Until next time, we will catch you guys later.
Hasta mañana.